I don't want to go into the history of partition and British colonialism. I do want to start with a significant day, August 5th, 2019. And I want to begin with this day because we're only a few days away before the first anniversary of August 5th, 2019.
I was gonna
Yes,
say that's
Bill.
only a year ago.
It's a,
That's only a year ago.
it's only a year ago, and I want to tell you what happened on that day, because what happened on that day has changed Kashmir forever. On that day, something so critical happened that the international community is now looking towards the Indian government, Prime Minister Modi, and we're calling on India to. Uh, to really answer for the oppression and the human rights violations that have been committed. So let me tell you, on that day, Kashmir went dark. The Indian state banned phone and internet service. All the tourists that were there at the time were asked to leave. Indian troops increased. So from 500,000 troops, now you had 900,000 troops in the Kashmir Valley, which means per every 8 civilians, there is an Indian trooper. And I want to just give you a little bit of context. Within the past 30 years, 100,000 people have lost their lives in this conflict. And I'm really speaking on the Indian side, because one thing that people don't realize, in the Indian side, it's the world's most militarized zone. And of course, as you rightly claim, it is a nuclear flashpoint between India and Pakistan. It's the world's highest battlefield at 20,000 feet. And India and Pakistan have had at least 3 wars and various skirmishes. But what's happening today, and the current context of the Kashmir conflict, is what's happening on the Indian side. And so what India did on August 5th is strip the Kashmiris of their special status. It revoked Articles 370 and 35A, which was in the Indian Constitution. And this was, part of Prime Minister Modi's plan. It was something that he had articulated during his election campaign, and his support that he won from the far-right Hindu extremist group, the BJP, that's in power. So since 2014, and some would argue that prior to 2014, this BJP party and their anti-Muslim bigotry has really exacerbated even the conflict in Kashmir. So by stripping the Kashmiris of their special status and not having, and being under complete lockdown with a very, the most severe communications ban, I call it a debilitating silence, because it has had mental, physical, social, and psychological lockdown. An Indian famed activist in human rights, she's also an author, Arundhati Roy, had said silence is the loudest sound. And she said that when India did that on August 5th, it had actually imprisoned 8 million Kashmiris inside their homes. And it was through pressure by right here in Washington, D.C., where I am, pressure by some of our congressmen and women, pressure by, other Western countries, United Nations, that earlier this year, by March, India had lifted some of those restrictions. But still, now you have COVID-19. And so this is a twin lockdown. So now the Kashmiris are living in a situation where there is continued oppressive policies against them by the Indian state, even prior to August 5th. And now, because of COVID-19, there's stay-at-home orders. And so, again, when I look at just the contemporary history of what is happening, and if you're just really looking at current events, you have to bear in mind that what India did on August 5th by stripping Kashmiris of their special status means that you are now taking away their rights to the land. You're allowing non-Kashmiris to own land. You're allowing non-Kashmiris to also take the state jobs that were reserved for Kashmiris. The protections that they had been given since 1947 no longer exist.